Right. Good Vach, everyone, and welcome to Shabbos, stories of Baal Shem Tov, Tzadikim, and of course, Sichos Haran. So, as we know, it's a big inyan to tell stories of Baal Shem HaKadosh on Maase Shabbos. Great Segula for a great week. If I'm not mistaken, we have two stories in Baal Shem Tov today. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Once the Baal Shem Tov said to his Talmidim, next week, there'll be a person who is a tzaddik, and we're very, very special. And anyone who will give this person any kind of hana, any kind of pleasure, any kind of benefit, will be zochet olam haba. So, when the Baal Shem Tov started Revolve Kitzis, he started looking for this tzaddik Baal Shem Tov spoke about, and he checked all the inns, the midrashim, all the where the people usually are staying, for free. Soup kitchens, couldn't find that person. So before Shabbos came in, Wolf Kitzis went to the mikveh, and he prepared hot water for himself, and his kavanah was to wait there and see if he can find that person. And there came to the Beis Medrash a poor person, and stood next to they had an oven of some sort over there, of really hot stones in the very middle of the mikveh. Probably they were schwitzing there as well, I'm not sure. Suddenly came the keeper of the place and pushed him from the place he was standing, and somebody is pushing just somebody's a nobody, just like a move off. At that moment, the Wolf Kitzis understood that this poor man is the person Baal Shem Tov was talking about. Immediately, he gave the hot water that he prepared to this poor person. And you used to have these branches of, these people used to, beat on themselves to get out, the poison from the pores. And then he told this person, come be my guest for Shabbos. So Revolf put his big day Shabbos, he got dressed, got ready for Shabbos. And his regular bgodim, big dechol, he gave to the poor person instead of the rags that he was wearing. And the poor person would not accept it. So the Rav told him, listen, you should know that I'm considered here, to be a very dignified, balabos. It's not befitting that you should be my guest, with torn clothing. You should wear these clothes. So the poor person agreed, and he wore these clothes. This entire Shabbos, the Wolf did not see anything special in the behavior of this pauper. And the Maase Shabbos, he saw that the pauper is taking off these clothes that he got. So the Wolf Kitzis says, no, these clothes are yours, as a present. So again, the pauper refused until the Wolf Kitzis told him, listen, I am considered to be a very, dignified person in this town. And it's not befitting that I should wear them after you wore them. It's demeaning for me. So you should. So the poor person agreed, and he took the clothing. And afterwards, they both went to the houses of the town and collected money for this poor person until he had like 10 rubles. It was, at that time, it was a considerable amount of money. And when he came home, he saw that the poor person was gone. He left his house. So both looked for him. He investigated and found him out of town and gave him the money that he collected for him. Again, the poor person did not want to accept it. So Bob says, do me a favor, take it from me. This is what I always do. Whenever I have a guest, I give him a nice gift, a nice donation. And again, the poor person agreed, and he took the money. After some time, the Baal Shem Tov met both kids and told them, you have saved my life. You should know that this person is a tzaddik esod olam and is totally hidden. Absolutely and totally hidden. And he is mamish my parallel, except that I'm famous and he is totally hidden. And because of this, we are tied. We're connected to one another, to life, and chas v'chalila for the opposite. It was very difficult for this poor person to live with such poverty, and he desired to leave the world. And if he would have done that, I also would have had to leave the world. And because you have given him life with everything you did for him, you also saved my life. That's one story of Sipurey Baal Shem Tov. The second story of Maase Tzadikim is again a story from the Baal Shem Tov. And this is a wondrous Maase from the beginning of the exposure. Baal Shem Tov became known. The Baal Shem Tov, before he became famous, before he even moved to Mezhebosh, he used to hide in the forests and in caves. So there he was making his way to this between him and Shem Yisbarach. All he wanted to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And him and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's it. He didn't want anything more. And most of the time, his hiding place was between the town of Kitav and Kosev, amongst big mountains. There were a big cave there. He used to stay there. He had a mikveh with water in there. He used to toivel himself, each time. And it's still, it's still there today. People can see this particular cave and that mikveh that he used until today. At that time, the Baal Shem Tov started being revealed and do wondrous things, do wondrous miracles. And the idea, the Baal Shem Tov did that in order to pull people into Avodas Hashem. Because, we only know HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu behaves in this world. And when we don't see anything unusual, so we take the world for granted. But when miracles happen, then we realize that Hashem Yisbarach is running the world. So the Baal Shem Tov was doing all his moifsim, all his miracles, Not, that he should be famous as somebody who does miracles, but for people to realize that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is the Melech, and they should get into Avodas Hashem. And in those days, in a city called Helich, lived a very wealthy man with an only daughter that Hashem, Lala, has smitten her with madness. Shem Yirachem, and her father was looking for doctors. Nothing helped. So people told him, there's Ish Elokim Kodesh, and he does Yeshuas, go to him, and he should daven for her. So he heard, okay, he listened. He went to the Baal Shem Tov and asked him and begged him to please daven for his daughter. And so Hashem will give refuah to his daughter. So the Baal Shem Tov agreed, and he went with him to the town of Helich. And along the way, they passed the town of Pistin, or Fistin, I'm not sure. And they slept there. And one night when they slept there, in Chatzois, there was huge screaming at night on town. And that shouting was that says anybody that has Yiras Shamayim should wake up and daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Maybe Hashem would have rachmanis on us. And they asked this entire town, says, so Baal Shem Tov said, what's the problem? Why everybody is so excited? So they said there's a big decree. The daughter of the feudal lord of the town became mad, and the doctors, don't have a refuah for her. So the advice of the I don't know if it's a bishop or whatever it is, the priest of the town, was to call all the Jews and so all the Jews will daven to Kodesh Baruch Hu for her refuah. And if she will not have her refuah, there'll be a siman to that feudal lord that Hashem doesn't want the Jews, and he hates them. And it's the sins, because of the sins of the Jew, that's why the daughter of the feudal lord is sick. And either she gets healthy or they should be driven away from the city. So the Baal Shem HaKadosh said, just go to the minister, tell him that a Jewish sage came to town, and he said that he will heal your daughter without any doubt. So they told him. So obviously the fellow was just to bring him in. And he came there. So the Baal Shem Tov came to the palace of this feudal lord. And he said, first of all, you have to remove from the room of your daughter all the getchkas, all the crosses, whatever it is that's there, everything. Gold, silver, whatever it is, everything, any pictures, everything has to be removed. And no person should be there. It said you should tie her down, tie her down with ropes. And mamash, like tying her like a behemoth. And put her on her left side, and then he will come in and do the refuah. So the priest hid in the room. So you'll be able to see what the Baal Shem Tov is doing, so you'll be able to do the same thing. But the minute Baal Shem Tov came into the doorstep, he says, there is, in this house, there's another person here. He's hiding here. Remove him. So they looked, and they found him hiding, and they chased him away. So the Baal Shem Tov took a kerchief, and he covered his own hair and his own beard, so not a single hair of his head or beard would show. And then he bent down and whispered something in the ear of the daughter of the funeral lord, in her right ear. And then he stood up and he left, and he says, okay, you can untie all the ropes from her. She's fine. And Be'ezer Hashem, they untied her, and she was like back to normal. And people were like totally astonished. And obviously, and the fame of the Baal Shem Tov, as a man of wonder, became greater. From there, he went to the town of Havelch with that rich man. And Baal Shem Tov said, there's no reason to push and do the same thing in 1 minute like he did in the town of Fistin. Because over there was a problem of the many. All the Jews were in distress. But here, I will do it slowly. So he told the people to bring the deranged girl to the place when he was davening, to the time when the Baal Shem Tov was davening, in the Kriyas Torah, so she'll be able to hear the Divrei Kedusha. Without Hashem, all the bad and all the damage will leave her. Baal Shem was there about 4 weeks doing that until the daughter of the Gevir healed completely. And then the name of Baal Shem Tov became very, very famous. Now, in those days, the place, there was a big Talmud Chacham. His name was Rabbi Zev. He was the Av Basin, and he was investigating the Baal Shem Tov, to find out, and his behavior, to find out, what is he about? Is he really the holy man or Chas v'Chalila? Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Tfilas Mincha, the Baal Shem Tov would daven by the Omer. That was his minhag. And he would daven very early mincha, because that was the time of Tikkun Neshamis. These are coming up, these are coming down. The Baal Shem Tov would daven for a very, very long time. A long Shmoneh Esrei, like 4 hours of Shmoneh Esrei. And that Rav became very, very upset, because he did not believe that anybody could stand on his feet and be concentrated, and totally, meditating and doing his work for 4 hours straight. And he says, everybody else can daven for like 5 minutes from Esrei. He's davening 4 hours. He says, who knows what he's doing now? And he came to Baal Shem Tov and lifted up his talus. He looked at the face of the Baal Shem Tov. The minute he saw the face of the Baal Shem Tov, he fainted. And he almost died. And the doctors managed to revive him. And he recovered. It took him like 3 months, actually, to recover. And he said now he knows who Baal Shem Tov is. That the Baal Shem Tov has eyes that see everything. And he said that he saw him, that his face was yellow. When he saw the Baal Shem Tov's face, his face was yellow, the face of a dead person. And he saw like a dead person. That somebody has no neshama. And his eyes were bulging out and were running water. And his entire body was standing there. like a corpse. And that's the reason why he got so frightened. And from then, he accepted upon himself to listen, to bend his head and listen to everything the Baal Shem Kodesh said, because he was an awesome, tremendous man of God. And this is the Baal Shem HaKadosh Zchus to Ben Aleinu, Al Kol Yisrael Amen, B'ezrat Hashem. When his Zchus will have a gewaldige week, a gewaldige month, full with simcha. And now, B'ezrat Hashem, let's take a quick look at Sipurey Baal Shem Tov for this week. And here we go. This week, we learn Sicha 130, Kuf Lamed. Nelson writes, Shamati Bishmoi, I heard from Rabbeinu's name, the Inyan for some Balimoifis. People that are very famous as miracle workers. There were certain people who were known as miracle workers, and certain ones that seemed to be, like they weren't doing anything. So, of course, who the people would gravitate to? They gravitated to people who were doing mafsed. So Rabbeinu said the mafsed. There was one king that had two children. One of them was wise, and the other one was foolish. So what did he do? He made the foolish the minister of finance. And the smart son didn't have any job. He was just sitting by the melech. That's it. And the people found it very hard to understand that one who is not smart, he has all the cover, he has the jobs, he has everything. Everybody's coming and going by him to take money, to bring in money. And that Chacham doesn't have any kind of any job. He's not holding any office. So the king told him, well, do you think that this is a great deal? That he's taken funds that are already there and he is giving to the world. The wise son was sitting by me. He is sitting and thinking new thoughts, and he has no ideas that I cannot think of. And through these ideas, I conquer more lands that I didn't know about. And from these lands, this is where all the treasures come. But this person who is in charge of the treasures, he's taking treasures that are already there. He's just giving it out to the world. Obviously, it's very important. But of course, how much greater is the stature of the Chacham, that it actually creates more income than the one who is a minister and everything else. And it seems like, he's the boss of the treasury. But the Chacham, that even though it seems he's not holding any office, he's much higher because all the treasures are actually coming from him. The nimshal for this is pretty obvious. Rabbeinu said that really all the Baal HaMoifsim, most of the Baal HaMoifsim, that do perform miracles in the world, all the miracles in the world are actually being performed by the Tzaddik Ador. It only looks as if it's being performed by the lesser Tzadikim. He says it's like, he gave a mashal, like a person going in the forest. And in the forest, suddenly comes a bear. Now that person is walking in the forest. All he holds in his hands is just a stick. So he doesn't know what to do. What's he going to do with the stick? So he holds the stick as if like he's holding a gun, and suddenly a shot is heard, and the bear falls down dead. So that person is holding the stick, is looking at the stick and like, wow, I just performed a miracle. But he doesn't realize that behind him, there was a man with a real gun. And that is the man that shot the bear. The same thing with all the miracles that are done with the tzaddikim that people know about. The real moifes, the real moifsim, is done by the hidden tzaddikim, by the tzaddik ador. And everybody receives from tzaddik ador. The tzaddik is full with moifsim all the time. He's the one that brings about the shefa. He's the one that brings about the yeshuas. He's the one that brings down the miracles. Now, those miracles afterwards are being doled out by tzaddikim, the people that are real tzaddikim. But the real miracle is being performed behind the scenes by the tzaddik ador. I want to say just a single word. Today was the Yotzeit of the Lubavitch Rebbe, Zichron Lebrocha. Was a very, very, very big person, a big tzaddik. And the thing that I like the most about the Lubavitch Hasidim is the fact that they keep on searching for him. They keep on searching for his Ruach HaKodesh. They keep on studying his words. They keep on looking for him. This is what we need to do. About true tzaddik kador, about Rabbeinu HaKodesh. Every single day to keep on looking for the Ruach HaKodesh of the tzaddikim. Obviously, the search is not for the body of the tzaddik, but it's Ruach HaKodesh. And with this, we're zecher to clean out our imagination and zecher to a true emunah shleimo. Zat Shem will be zecher to everything. To Mashiach Tzidkenu should come very, very quickly. Mitzvah Shem before Shavas B'Tumas, Zat Hashem. Alevai, we shouldn't need these 3 weeks, because Chodesh Tammuz and Chodesh Av are predestined to be great Simchat Am Yisrael, great Yeshuas Am Yisrael. Hashem Zohar should help us. Zat Hashem will all be Zoicha. And Zat Hashem will see you all, and Zat Hashem on Monday night as we learn Sipurey Maase.